Go ahead, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Leah. That was fantastic. So what I'm going to do in a really quick kind of run through is just show both balloon sinus dilation and eustachian tube dilation. I'll show a couple of the things that I alluded to in my tips and tricks lecture, starting off with our medialization of the middle turbinate. So we'll gently medialize. And again, this is with awake or anesthetized, generally anesthetized patients. We'll make that releasing incision. We'll find that vertical segment or vertical lamella just posterior. And basically that's an extension of the basal lamella. And we're making that relaxing incision, which allows us to keep that middle turbinate in a good position. Once we've done that, we'll identify the location of the natural ostium, and we'll mobilize the uncinate. So gentle mobilization. Again, you're not ripping, you're just gently pulling, and any fragments that are kind of released, you can remove with rigid instrumentation. I'm also palpating and finding that natural os, which I just dropped into. It's anterior, and you should be able to feel that with bony surroundings. So if you're in the posterior fontanelle, it's membranous. If you're in the natural ostium, it's bony. And so you can really palpate and feel that. Once I do that, I'll come out. The first thing I'll do, I'm going to demonstrate with one technology, but I would encourage you to do all of them. There are 3 different platforms for balloon dilation. They're all fantastic. It's really just a personal preference. And I'll use the one that I used in my videos today, which is the Stryker platform, which I think is outstanding. Medtronic makes one and Recurrent makes one. They're both excellent as well. So this balloon comes pre-dilated for the frontal orientation. So I'll do the frontal sinus first. Again, I've mobilized my uncinate superiorly to its attachment, which should lead me right into that frontal recess. So I'm palpating, I'm entering, and quite honestly, this is a very straightforward frontal sinus. This person clearly did not have CRS. However, we've accessed it. Can you do me a favor? Will you pull that tab for me? Pull, and then just pass that light in. And so this right here, now you slide that little wire. And then can you pull that? So you can see, you can appreciate even on the towel, but if you'll take that up, you can appreciate transillumination. Yeah, you can, and if I move it, you'll see it. So see it's moving right there on the forehead. That's confirming that I'm in fact in the frontal sinus. And without the light bleaching it out, you can see it even better. Once I've confirmed that I'm in the right location, I'll advance my dilation catheter fully, and I'll access the frontal sinus. Then I would instruct my tech, and he is the best tech around. We'll inflate the balloon fully to 12 atmospheres of pressure. Sometimes you get a little pushback. We call that watermelon sitting. You can deflate now, thank you. And then I often will advance depending on the frontal anatomy, and we'll do a second dilation there. So complete frontal sinus dilation. You can often hear an audible cracking as the bone's being remodeled or repositioned. Okay, deflate. Then we'll release the balloon catheter and we'll come out. We can often see, even with a expanded view, 0-degree scope, but we could certainly put a 30 on to visualize our sinusotomies. The next thing I'll do is I'll hand bend the balloon. There's also a very nifty bending tool that can be utilized, and I'm going to bend the orientation of the balloon such that it's adequate for the sphenoid. And you can look at this bending tool and see that we have an orientation for the sphenoid sinus. So once we've bent that appropriately, we will re-enter the nose. I'm going to show that technique I used about pre-dilating that sphenoethmoid recess, utilizing the balloon. So I'll advance into that region. I'll advance the balloon catheter. We'll inflate, if you would, Irv, thank you, which creates more space and a relatively atraumatic, you can deflate. And it allows me to retract the balloon and advance further. Can you irrigate? Thank you, sir. And now I can visualize the superior turbinate, which is pretty small in this patient. And once we've done that, we can identify our natural ostium of the sphenoid. Sometimes it's tricky, but I've just entered the sphenoid. Now I will advance my dilation catheter further and ask my wonderful tech to inflate and deflate. There's an audible sound, as I said earlier, which is simply the catheter. And I'll get my money shot here for everybody. You can nicely see a maxillary or a sphenoid sinusotomy. Next, I will use my bending tool to facilitate bending for the maxillary dilation. And again, we have a pre-bend kind of orientation. This is for 135 degrees. I typically don't bend it quite 135 degrees. Once it's bent properly, we'll prepare to re-enter and access the maxillary sinus. Again, I've mobilized the uncinate. I have a relatively good idea. And what I like to do is I like to use what's called a tip down technique. So I'll slide the tip of the catheter behind the uncinate and I'll just allow it to drop into the maxillary sinus. If I wasn't in the maxillary sinus or if I was having to forcefully enter, I'd be able to tell. I'm literally dropping right into the natural ostium. There's no resistance whatsoever. Once I've accessed that and I'm fully transosteal, I will access or advance my dilation catheter and I'll have my wonderful tech inflate. You'll see the uncinate displace anteriorly and I'll have him deflate. I often do 2 or 3 dilations. Advance this further, 1 more dilation, please. And you'll see that uncinate nicely come forward. Then I'll retract. I frequently will, once I've done it, I'll frequently retract the balloon and just ensure that I've got free passage of that catheter and of that rail. Once I've done that, I'll rotate, usually inferiorly, and then retract the balloon. So that's sinus dilation. I'm going to move quickly to the eustachian tube platform, and I'll be using the Audion device, also by Stryker. Each of our partner companies has their own version of this, again, which are wonderful and work extremely well. I'm going to quickly demonstrate. There's 2 awesome needles here. We have this RAN needle by Stryker, which is the reinforced needle I spoke about earlier. This needle is fantastic, and it has basically a pre-bent orientation. The other thing that's unique about this is it has a beveled tip, so you can appreciate that. There's only about 1 millimeter at the tip that's going to penetrate tissue. And so that's ideal for injection. There's a second device made by Aaron Medical, which has a little bit of a different bend. Both of these needles are outstanding. And again, I'll use both of them for demonstration purposes. So sphenopalatine block, I'm going to demonstrate the way I do it. So I'll lateralize that middle turbinate slightly, which will give us really nice visualization of that sphenoethmoid and sphenoid face. Then I'll enter into this region with my RAND needle. I'll orient for the injection. I usually use that junction between the kind of sphenoethmoid bone and the posterior septum, and then I'll just inject, and you can see the nice infiltration. And that's actually exactly what you want to see, is that submucosal infiltration, similar to what you'd see when you're creating a wheel for like a TB test or something. Once we've done that, we'll do our second injection, which is along that torus tubaris region, and I call it that axillary injection. And there are toruses, and I'll access that region right there. It's not that nasopharyngeal fold, but it's that region I was talking about. We'll do our injection directly under endoscopic visualization, and we'll usually see a nice wheel and nice injection, and often blanching. And then lastly, we'll obtain our eustachian tube dilation catheter system. One other thing I'll demonstrate really quickly is how helpful it is to just simply outfracture that inferior turbinate. So I'll just create a little bit more working room. And I like to outfracture broadly. Sometimes I'll infracture. I saw Dr. Humphreys demonstrate that yesterday. It's often helpful to infracture first, which creates a bit of fracturing of that bone, and then outfracturing is much easier. Once I've done that, I have pretty free access to the nasal floor, which leads me directly to the eustachian tube posterior cushion or torus tubaris region. Once I'm there, I'm visualizing, I'm kind of using that posterior cushion as a bumper, and then I'm advancing the dilation catheter. And you just have to provide a little bit of force. You never want to push against resistance. So I'm going to use the pre-dilation technique. If you could inflate, please. Oh, you know what? It's locked. So slide that thing down at the top, the blue thing. Slide it down. Yeah, there you go. Okay, try now. It might need some liquid inside of it. It hasn't been loaded. That's okay. There we go. So we're going to do our first inflation. Great. Okay, and then we'll rapidly deflate. I'll advance further. We'll do our second dilation, deflate. and then I'll advance fully and we'll do our third dilation. We will hold the third dilation for 2 full minutes, which is how the devices were studied and proves to be kind of yield the best results. Once we're done, we'll deflate. I then will just retract the device. It's very simple to retract, and you can visualize a really nicely dilated, and we're looking there all the way to the bony cartilaginous junction of the eustachian tube. I think that's it, and we'll address questions. Thanks for your attention.